Don't sign that. The words didn't just interrupt the moment, they shattered it. Have you ever been so close to something that you could already feel it in your hands? The relief, the victory, the end of a long fight? That was me, sitting there, pen hovering just above the paper, one signature away from sealing the biggest deal of my life. And then, everything stopped. I'm Ava Thompson. I'm 34, and that day, I thought I was about to secure the future I had spent 3 years bleeding for. We were in a glass-walled conference room on the 18th floor, the kind of room that makes everything feel official, final. Outside, the city stretched endlessly, buzzing with life, but inside, it was quiet. Too quiet. Across from me sat Marcus Hale, 39, my business partner, my co-founder, the man who had been with me since day one. We built everything together, every late night, every risk, every sacrifice. At least, that's what I believed. Next to him, his lawyer, calm, observing, saying nothing. On my side was Daniel Reeves, my attorney, experienced, careful, the kind of man who didn't speak unless something mattered. And right now, he wasn't speaking. That should have been my first warning. Because while I was ready to sign, ready to breathe, ready to finally let go of all the pressure, Daniel kept flipping through the same pages over and over again. Have you ever felt that? That tiny, almost invisible discomfort, like something isn't right but you can't explain why? I ignored it. I told myself, this is normal. Big deals feel like this. So I smiled. I picked up the pen. I looked at Marcus. He didn't smile back. And just as the tip of my pen touched the paper, don't sign that. Everything froze. My hand stopped mid-motion. My heart didn't. Slowly, I looked up at Daniel. His expression wasn't nervous. It wasn't unsure. It was serious. Too serious. He closed the folder in front of me with a quiet but deliberate motion. Then he leaned in slightly, his eyes locked onto mine like he was about to say something that couldn't be taken back. Before you sign, he said carefully, there's something you need to understand. The room went completely silent, and in that silence, something inside me shifted. Because in that moment, I realized this wasn't just a delay. This was a warning, and whatever he was about to say was about to change everything. Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. What do you mean, I don't understand? The question left my mouth before I could stop it, sharp, defensive, a little too loud for a room that had just gone completely still. Daniel didn't answer right away. Instead, he slid a document across the table toward me, slowly, like the weight of it mattered, like it wasn't just paper, but something heavier. Take a look at Clause 7.3, he said. I frowned. I've seen this before. Read it again, he replied. Have you ever reread something and suddenly it feels completely different, like the words changed when you weren't looking? That's exactly what happened. At first, it looked familiar. Legal language, dense, complicated, the kind of thing you skim because you trust the person sitting next to you. Marcus. I glanced up at him instinctively. He didn't meet my eyes. That was the first real crack. Daniel, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, this is standard structuring. We went through all of this months ago. Before he could respond, Marcus leaned forward slightly. She's right, he said quickly. It's nothing unusual, just part of how we secured early investment. Too quick, too smooth. Daniel didn't even look at him. No, he said calmly. It's not. And just like that, the tension in the room doubled. I felt it in my chest, tight, heavy. Daniel tapped a specific paragraph. This clause allows for a restructuring of ownership under certain financial conditions. Okay, I said. Conditions that, he continued slowly, have already been met. Silence. Not the calm kind, the kind that presses in on you. I looked at Marcus again. This time, he leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Why wasn't he saying anything? Suddenly, memories started pushing their way forward. Late nights, documents I signed without reading every line, conversations where Marcus said, "Trust me, we'll fix this later." And I did trust him. That's what makes this part hit the hardest. "Wait," I said, my voice dropping. "What are you saying?" Daniel exhaled, not dramatically, just heavily. "I'm saying," he replied, "that based on this agreement, your ownership may have already been diluted." Diluted? The word echoed in my head like it didn't belong there. "That's not possible," I said immediately. "I own half the company." "Do I?" The question crept in before I could stop it. Marcus finally looked at me, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't reassurance. It wasn't even guilt. It was distance. Cold, calculated distance. My stomach dropped. "Marcus," I said slowly, "what is he talking about?" He didn't answer right away, and that silence told me more than anything he could have said. Daniel leaned in slightly, his voice quieter now, but sharper. "Ava, according to this agreement," he paused, and in that pause, I felt everything starting to slip. "You may no longer have control of your own company." Lost control? The words didn't even sound real coming out of my mouth. Have you ever heard something so absurd your brain just refuses to process it? That was me, sitting there, staring at Daniel, waiting for him to correct himself, to say this was a misunderstanding. He didn't. Instead, he turned another page. "There's more," he said. "More?" My chest tightened. The room suddenly felt smaller. The glass walls that once felt like everything was open now felt like they were closing in, trapping me inside a moment I didn't understand. Daniel pointed to another section. "This clause ties ownership control to financial performance benchmarks." I shook my head immediately. "Okay, but we didn't meet those benchmarks. That's why we had to pivot. Marcus handled all of that." The second I said his name, something clicked. Daniel didn't respond. He just looked at me, and that look, it said everything. "Wait," I whispered. My mind started racing, fast now, too fast. The budget cuts, the delayed projects, the deals Marcus said weren't worth it. At the time, I trusted him. He was the numbers guy, the strategist, the one who saw things I didn't. But what if... No. I turned to him. "Marcus, tell me I'm wrong." He leaned forward slightly, folding his hands like this was just another business conversation. "It's just how the structure works, Ava," he said calmly. That wasn't an answer. "Did you know this would happen?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "It's just business." Just business. 3 years, countless nights, every sacrifice I made, reduced to that. Something inside me cracked.
Daniel's voice cut back in, sharper now. If Ava signs these papers today, she finalizes a deal under the assumption she still has equity she may no longer control. I turned back to him slowly. "What does that mean, exactly?" He didn't sugarcoat it. "It means you walk away with a fraction of what you think you're getting. A fraction." I felt my hands start to shake. Across the table, Marcus's lawyer remained completely still, not surprised, not concerned, like this was expected, like this was planned. And that's when it hit me fully. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was strategy, calculated, patient, quiet, and I walked right into it. "But why?" I asked, my voice breaking now despite everything I was trying to hold together. Marcus didn't flinch. "Because I built this too," he said, "and I made sure I protected my position." Protected? By destroying mine. The silence that followed was unbearable. But Daniel wasn't done. "There is one more thing," he said. I looked at him, barely holding on. "If we act right now," he continued, "there may still be a way to stop this." Hope. Sharp, sudden, dangerous. I swallowed hard. Stop it? How? Daniel leaned in, lowering his voice just enough to make every word feel heavier. By proving he never had the right to trigger that clause in the first place. My heart skipped, because if that was true, then everything we thought was final was about to be blown wide open. If we're going to challenge this, we need proof now. Daniel's voice wasn't calm anymore. It was urgent. And just like that, the entire room shifted. Have you ever felt time speed up and slow down at the same time? That's exactly what was happening. The deal was supposed to close within an hour. Papers ready, signatures pending, millions on the line. And now, everything was hanging by a thread. "What kind of proof?" I asked, my voice tight, my mind racing ahead of me. Daniel didn't hesitate. "Evidence that the financial benchmarks were manipulated, that the conditions triggering the clause weren't organic." Organic? Meaning real. Meaning Marcus didn't just benefit from the situation, he created it. I turned to Marcus slowly. He didn't look nervous, but he wasn't relaxed either. There it was, a crack. Small, but real. And for the first time since this started, I saw it. He wasn't as in control as he wanted me to believe. "Think," Daniel pressed, "anything that didn't make sense at the time, any decision that felt off." And suddenly, everything started coming back. Fast. Too fast. Meetings that ended abruptly, deals that were almost perfect but somehow never closed, moments where Marcus stepped in and said, "Trust me, this isn't the right move." One memory hit harder than the rest. An investor. A strong one. I remember the excitement in the room when we first discussed it. The numbers worked, the timing was perfect, it would have pushed us past every benchmark we needed. And then Marcus shut it down, said the terms were bad, said it wasn't worth the risk. At the time, I believed him, but something about that moment never sat right with me. "Wait," I whispered. Daniel looked at me immediately. "What?" "My email." My hands moved before I could think. I pulled out my phone, fingers shaking as I searched. Inbox, search bar, keywords. There, the thread. I opened it and my stomach dropped. The investor had followed up directly with me after Marcus rejected the deal. I never responded because Marcus told me not to. But now, reading it again, everything was different. The terms weren't bad. They were strong, more than strong enough to meet the financial benchmark, which meant Marcus didn't reject the deal because it was risky. He rejected it because it would have stopped him. My breath caught. Slowly, I turned my phone toward Daniel. He read it carefully, once, then again. His jaw tightened. This changes everything. Across the table, Marcus shifted. Not much, but enough. Enough to confirm it. He knew. Daniel stood up immediately. "We're not signing anything." Marcus's lawyer shut up. "You can't just halt." "Yes, we can," Daniel cut in, sharply. "Not with this." Voices started rising. The calm, polished atmosphere shattered into chaos. But I barely heard any of it, because for the first time since walking into that room, I wasn't confused. I wasn't scared. I was clear. This wasn't over. Not even close. Daniel turned back to me, his voice firm, grounded. "If we appeal this now, we expose everything. Everything. The truth, the manipulation, the betrayal." I took a slow breath. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't the end of the deal. This was the beginning of a fight I was finally ready to win. "Then we stop this, right now." My voice didn't shake this time. Did you catch that shift? Just minutes ago, I was blindsided, confused, almost signing everything away. And now? I was done being the person who trusted blindly. Daniel didn't waste a second. He stepped forward, placing my phone on the table like it was evidence in a courtroom. "Before anything is signed," he said firmly, addressing everyone in the room, "we need to address a material issue that directly impacts the validity of this agreement." The room went quiet again, but this time, it wasn't uncertainty. It was tension, controlled, focused. He walked them through it piece by piece, the clause, the financial benchmark, the triggered condition that supposedly shifted control to Marcus. Then he presented the email, the investor offer, clear, strong, documented, proof that the company should have met the benchmark, proof that it didn't because Marcus made it wouldn't. Have you ever watched someone's plan fall apart in real time? Marcus didn't explode. He didn't deny it. But his silence? That said everything. The acquisition team, who had been quietly observing this entire time, immediately stepped in. They requested a pause, not a discussion, a pause. Because legally, this changed everything. If the benchmark was manipulated intentionally, then the clause Marcus relied on could be challenged and potentially voided entirely, which meant he never legally had control. The deal, as it stood, couldn't go forward. And just like that, everything flipped. Weeks later, the truth was undeniable. A full legal review confirmed it. Marcus had deliberately rejected profitable opportunities to force the company below the required financial threshold. It wasn't bad judgment. It was calculated manipulation. He was removed from the company, not quietly, not cleanly. There were legal consequences, serious ones. Breach of fiduciary duty, contractual misconduct. His reputation in the industry destroyed almost overnight. And the deal? It didn't disappear. It was renegotiated. This time, with me in full control. Every term was reviewed, every clause examined. No assumptions, no blind trust. And when the papers came back, I read every single line, slowly, carefully. Then I signed. But here's the part people don't talk about, the aftermath, because winning doesn't always feel the way you expect. Yes, I secured the company. Yes, I got the deal. Yes, justice was served. But I also lost someone I thought I knew. 3 years of partnership. Gone. Mutual friends took sides. Some disappeared. Some stayed. Some stayed silent. And me? I changed. Not into someone colder, but into someone clearer, stronger, more aware. Months later, I stood in my new office, same city, same skyline, but everything felt different. Because this time, nothing I had was built on trust alone. It was built on truth. And for the first time since this all started, I knew without a doubt I was exactly where I was supposed to be.